Hi, I've been muted for the last about, 20 seconds. And I was just being a bit silly saying that this is August the 7th, the year 2025, that will be remembered as August the 7th, 2025. So, yeah, I said this joke twice, once without audio, once with audio. And if anyone is out there, please let me know if I'm audible now, um, not previously, just now. Let me see. Waiting for some. How's everyone? By the way, go on the chat and say hello. It's nice to know who is around. Rachel, hello. And Jay, Jonathan, hello, everyone. Excellent. So now it's working. And the first part will be remembered as one more blunder. Hopefully, we're not going to have too many today, maybe 10 or 20, like the ones where I have my face there and I'm showing something in Cinema 4D and I'm not showing my screen. Remember those days? Excellent. Now, yes, tropical Belize. Yeah, that's the weather I like. I like it really hot and really humid. Excellent. And yeah, we are going to answer some questions. Please do me a favor. And before you ask a question in the chat, please preface it with capitalized question so I can distinguish it from general comments. And yeah, one thing I'd like to say is make sure you are subscribed to the channel and you have all the bells, notifications, and stuff like that on. Because what I've realized is that, especially from the quick tips, that the majority, about 80% of the people that watch the quick tips are not subscribed. And that is very interesting and a bit sad because the way the algorithms work, um, having subscriptions on and those notifications on and so forth promotes it even more. So we get 75 to 80% of our viewership from YouTube suggestions. And if you do subscribe, whoever's watching these, and maybe the people that are watching this are already subscribed. But in any case, if you do watch the quick tips, make sure you subscribe because that pushes it even more so we can get more people to watch them. Excellent. And yeah, we're going to have an exciting Create with Max on starting next week. We are going to go right. I'm going to do the housekeeping at the end. The only thing I am going to paste, let me quickly do that for everyone to know. Let me see where this is. I think it's here. I just want to copy a link and I'm going to paste it in the chats, in the comments over here. And this is the link that will take you to that page where then in turn you can actually go and look at the various events. And events also include live shows and stuff like that. Anyway, enough of the talking. Let's get on to some questions. So let me show my screen here. And if I don't forget, maybe later. Oh, when I make a nice little scene, if I make a nice little scene, I don't know what I'm going to do. I will pose for a very good friend and mentor, Dr. Sassy, to do a little thumbnail. But for now, I'm just going to show my screen and waiting for any questions to come through the chat. I'm going to deal with an interesting one. I like this. And the question is about the following thing. I'm going to read it out. Someone has 100 objects in the scene. That's an example. Okay, 100 objects. Is there a way to randomly select 30% of them, right? 1/3. So let's go and play around a bit with Mograph, and let's first make 100 objects that are different. Okay, and numbers are a very good way of doing this. And if you go into university, you may find an old video I did, an old tutorial talking about how you can manipulate numbers using Mograph. Now, there's one not very well known thing with cloners and text, right? So let's go here and create, let's say, I'm going to create a linear. Sorry, let's go and create a linear a linear distribution of text, right? Now, the text is the same, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to type over here. I'm going to show, right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a series of things I like to do when I'm playing with Mograph and text. All right, I'm going to expand it a bit because it's interesting. So a drink of coffee, I'm going to show my face briefly so I can do a nice little cheers with everyone. Cheers. It's coffee time here. In other place of the world, it's a different beverage time. So tea time, maybe. Ah, excellent. Fantastic. Let's go back to this. So the first thing I'm going to do, which applies to text itself. Sometimes, if I want to change the text, I would love it if I'm dealing with single line text. And I wanted whatever it says here to be what is written here. And for this, a very simple espresso is perfect. So let me show you what we're going to do. We're going to right click on the text spline and go to the programming tags, espresso. Fantastic. So what do I want to drive here? I want to drive the text spline using the name, it's over here, and drive the same object's text spline. For espresso to work, we need two instances of this node. Go to the first one, and we want to expose from the basic properties the name. This is the name, so this is whatever this says. And the easiest way to go here and just drop, because you can go here and try and find properties and text, spline, and all that. The way I like to do it is you select your object and you go to whatever parameter and you drag it on the left or the right. And now you have these two. I want to make sure that whatever is the name of the object becomes the content of the text. And you do this. And now it says text spline. So I can name this whatever I want. And it will work. Fantastic. Now, let's try something else. I'm going to make a copy of this and I'm going to move it up. And I'm going to go here and type hello. Okay. And for intents and purposes, it works. The reason it works is that, and what you should do in these kind of cases, let me remove the hello to make sure that this will not break under any circumstance, is go to your espresso tag and make sure that both the nodes that are referencing the object, they're both set to not absolute reference, but to relative or use start position. This way, if I change this to whatever 1, then we are certain that this node is going to read from the object it's attached to, not from another object, because we could drive another object using the same nodes. Anyway, so we have these two texts now, okay, whatever, and it iterates. I'm going somewhere with this, right? There's a method to the madness. And let me turn on the comments so I can, here are the comments. Oops, there we go. What I realized is quite a few of Maximum trainers say oops when they do something. Now, okay, I want to create numbers, ascending numbers from, let's say, 0 to 99, okay, from 1 to 100, whatever. I'm going to go here and type 1. I'm going to type here 99. And I'm going to go to the cloner, and instead of iterate, I'm going to put a blend. So this is a special case. The way the blend mode was designed to work with the text spline input, it blends, first of all, the cloner, when you put it in blend mode, it blends any parameters. So for example, if this font is 400 and the other one is 200, it's going to blend this number. Because this is also a parameter, it treats it, when it has numbers, as a number. What that means is that if I make this into 100, clones. Is it 100 or 99? There you go. I need 99 because it's 1 to 99. It's 99. Look at that. Now I have an ascending array of numbers. Okay, fantastic. So this is, let's say, trick number. So trick number one is to use the Espresso to type anything and get the text to read that directly. The second tip is using the blend mode, and with text, it can create ascending numbers. And this, of course, means that you can use this to make counters. And that makes it quite interesting. You may want this to have just one. Count one. Where am I here? So 1 sec. I just want a count of 1. There we go. I don't want anything to move. So I just have 1 here. And I can use a plain effector in, go here, modify clone mode, to make a counter from 99 to 0. So, where's my loop? Where's my loop here? It's not, well, there's no loop. So I'm going to do it with a field. Let's go here. Let's get a linear field. And now you can see that as this goes through, you can go from 1 to 99 or whatever number you want. You can go here. You can make this a 0, and you can make sure that you have 100 clones. Well, it won't make a difference now because we only have 1, but you can see that we can have a counter now, and you can quantize it. There's so many things you can do to make these work in a predefined way. So let's get rid of this. Let's go here and make our 100. 100. Why is my offset? Yeah, I had an offset. I didn't want an offset. There we go. Let's go 1, 2, 3, and so forth. Why did I do this? This was just a preamble because I want to create 100 objects. And this is one of the ways you could go about it. You can just make this editable now. And I'm going to keep it as it is and make a copy and press C. And now, because I just want to keep this for now. Now I have 100 texts. There we go. So 100 texts. Oh, that's interesting. It added a 0 in front of it. Yes, it added the 0, I think, because what happened there? Yeah, it did a double. Okay, so let me try something. Let me try the following, just to make sure that everything is going to work. I'm going, now that all my numbers have been set, I can go remove these two here. That's it. And let's see if this is going to work now. Yeah, this works now. Something happened with when I made these editable, the names of the clones change. You can see that here we have a 0 and a 99 as the names of the clones. And when I make it editable, it changes to, the number, the original name, which was 0, and then the increment. That's why, because we had the Espresso, it went and spoiled it. Anyway, now we have 100 different objects. So exercise number 2 now is, how do I select a certain number of these objects in random? Well, now we're going to revert to Mograph once again. So I'm going to take all these. I'm middle clicking on the parent, selects all the children. Control click here to deselect only the parent. Move everything up here, right? So this is trick number 4. I've lost track of how many tricks I've given. Anyway, let's press H to get everything in here. Where's everything? Oh, yeah. You can see that because my axes were all up there, now if I press S to H to frame it, it frames the whole thing because there's a number up here, okay? So all I have to do is just select all these and just make sure that all their Y's are 0. You don't have to do it, but it's convenient. Now, let's see what we're going to do here. I want to select a certain random number of objects. So what you could do is you can go and create another linear. Let's go with a linear once more. Let's go upwards. And you can see that we get any number from these objects I wish. Let's say we want 30% of these. Now we have 100, but let's assume this was a different number. you can always divide it. So here I have 100. Here I have 101, 100 objects. There we go. I have 100. If you middle click here, it will select everything and it tells you 101, including the cloner. 30% of 100 is 100 divided by 3, right? So it's 33 point something. So here's 30% of 100 objects. Great. So what I want to do, I want to randomize them. Well, go to the clones and randomize them. There you go. So now it will randomly select objects from here. Now, I think there may be, I don't know if we have any doubles here. That's a good question. I haven't checked that. So we have 27 here and a 27 here. So this goes randomly. It doesn't select each one. So let's see if we can do a nice little trick. I'm going to iterate here and let's see what I can do with this, if it's going to work. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. There's a method in the random effector. If you go to these modes, random mode, sorry, here where it says synchronized and indexed, if you right click and say show help, it has a very interesting example of playing cards. This one here. And it's one of those things that can explain to you how you can get a unique random number. So it says each and it has to do with a texture. And the mode you need to use is index, if I'm not mistaken. So let's go here and do an indexed. And we have, but this is moving them. I don't want to move them around. What do I want to do? I want to modify clone. That isn't good. That doesn't look good, does it? Min max 0 to 100. Another thing with random effectors. Sometimes if you're in the negative with a random effector, it is going to move things in the negative space. But if you have colors, it creates negative colors and stuff like that. So I'm seeing this. I didn't think this through. I'm getting repeating numbers, and it appears that indexed does not work in this particular case. So I'm only halfway right about this. Maybe I don't know. That's, if anyone has any idea about this, you can let me know. But selecting random 30 random objects kinda works. Again, it's a kinda works over here. You are going to have repetitions as far as I'm concerned. And this, I need to think about it a bit more. But it could be a way. And you select how many objects you want out of the total. You set this to random. And you make it editable. So that will be what I would do. Maybe current state to object as well would work for this. So there you go. And you get all these different objects, and it's some sort of 30% selection. Excellent. Let me see what's happening on. Let's see what other questions we have here. Well, I thought I was going to show something else about this. I'm just thinking out loud now. So we did the blending, we did the randomization. Anything else? Not for now. Okay. So let me read the comments over here, see what's going on. Oh, interesting. I'm not getting all the comments in the comment section of StreamYard. Oh, that's interesting. So yeah, I do not know why. I do not know why. Fazenko, good evening from Ukraine. Hello. Let me put my face up there. Just find where my mouse is. When you have too many monitors, you lose your mouse. Hello. That hasn't come in the general comments. I have to read it on my YouTube comments. Anyway, at least it's here. Ruslan Tihomirov. you want to upgrade your graphics card to 1590, but I read that many users are having problems with Redshift not working with 1590 graphic. I don't know. These are questions. Anything that is technical like that, you have to ask customer support or tech support. We can't provide this kind of information. That is not our work. We do not test configurations and systems and so forth. The stuff we do is what you see here. You know, we can teach you we can give you information on how to try and solve certain problems. But you know, I will add one more question. There's a question. There's a question asking me why there's a mismatch between Redshift and stuff like that with the old color management and new color management and so forth. Again, those are very difficult things to explain without a scene, without the settings, and so forth. But let me. So I'll give you some information about the color stuff, so you know what exactly what is going on. So if you go to your project settings, your scene settings, in the scene, there's a color management here. And in my version, I get ACES CG color. I think that most users, I think it's scene linear, if I'm not mistaken. This is my understanding, and there's a particular, because my license is tied to my maximum employment, I get a slightly different default setting as far as I know, because it helps us test these kind of things. So this may be the default you get. Now, when you open an old scene, and this is what I want to try and remember here. If you open an old scene with Redshift, you go to the globals and you have your color management over here. It says using project settings for OCIO. I'm trying to, yes, I think it's the settings. If you go to the preferences, go to your preferences, I think you can choose which color management to set. See, I'm not very good with this because I have a different default. So someone may need to help me here. Anyway, I'm going to look into this for a bit more information. And this is one of the reasons it's kind of difficult for me to figure out exactly what's going on. In any case, whatever you're doing, let's say ACG, whatever, this is my kind of current render space, and we leave everything else as it is. If you go to your picture viewer, let's go window and picture viewer over here. You can change how your image looks based on these over here. And make sure that when you are checking how a specific image looks, that you have your desired tone map or color space over here, because otherwise it is going to look different. The other thing you need to remember is when you select colors. So let's go here, and this little drop down. So wherever you see a color in Cinema 4D, this drop down is only going to be available when you are using Cinema 4D's color management. Right? This is, if you don't have Cinema 4D's color management, this little thing drop down is not going to show up. And this is for you to select colors based on a specific color profile. For example, most of the stuff that we know and we see and we have been seeing for the last, let's say, 3-4 decades since things started going digital is in sRGB space. So usually if a customer asks you to pick a color from a Photoshop image, a JPEG or something like that, you have to pick it in sRGB. Otherwise, it may look different. So let's say I get a vibrant red in sRGB. Let's go to so 255 red. I don't know if this is gonna, if I change this to something else. Yeah, there's some, there you go. So there's some sort of mismatch here. That's why you see these red colors. And I think you control click or you double click or you alt click them. I thought there was a way to go to the closest one, which I can't get. I can't get anything to work now. Can't get anything to work. Just move this around and it will. It may have been a marginal rounding issue, but generally make sure that you're picking colors using the correct color space. And that way you're guaranteed to have some sort of consistency. And again, these are very general rules or workflows and so forth. But this is as much as I can help you for now, because these things do make a difference. Okay. And if anyone remembers, how do I turn off this? Wow, why am I having a brain? Yeah, I go, yeah, I'm drawing a blank. I'm drawing a blank here. I'm drawing a blank. And for some reason, I thought I can turn this off and just revert to the old Redshift way of doing things. Anyway, yeah, I can't. I've done it in the past. I cannot recall right now. Okay, let's leave it as it is right now, and let's put it at full screen, and let's go to another question. And let's see. We have a question from Vaso. Which is Greek apparently and resides in the UK. I read your question about the flowers and the cached cloth. And the proof is that I was doing some tests here. The problem is I do not have a complete solution for you. I saw that there are certain issues I'm going to discuss with the developers, because I couldn't find a satisfying solution for this, at least to my liking. And the question for everyone that's here, just to get a bit of context, is we have this cached cloth, and we are Vaso did this using the Redshift matrix scatter. And this is just a matrix object, and it just has the Redshift object tag, and it allows you to go in the particles tab and add various objects that will clone on render time. Makes it extremely effective, but that will not cache as an Alembic. If you want, you just need to use a proper cloner to create the objects. The problem with this is that you cannot bake as Alembic a cloner. And I did some tests, bake as Alembic and delete. Now, I haven't done any Alembic tests lately. I was under the impression that cloning would work. I do not know. I'm drawing a blank between too many versions and features and all that. I do not remember if we could just right click and say Baker's Alembic and delete, because this is not going to work. This is going to return. Let's. What? Oh, that's what just happened. All right. It does work. It didn't work when I did the test. All right, let's go back. I think I was over engineering this. And all right, reset. Let's go. Let's go back a few minutes. Oh my lord. So what did I do here? What did I do here? Let me just hide things. It just worked. Yeah. Okay. I'm telling you, I did select it and it didn't work. And I did a lot of tests. You can take my word for it. Here we have a cloth, which is just cached as an Alembic. That's it. And instead of using it through the cloth cache, I just brought it in as an alembic. Doesn't make a difference. I'm getting a cloner, and I've got some flowers here. I'm just cloning the flowers on the surface. So on the surface of this plane. So you can see they're all moving. And the objective was to scale them and hide them. Now, I wouldn't advise on using the visibility, because the visibility removes the objects, and alembics do not like to have, they can handle it, but they're not optimized to have mesh counts that change. And when you are deleting objects, you are changing the count of point and polygon count. So what I did here, I just scaled them down to -1, which is just, they won't be visible anymore. And I'm using this linear field, which is animated, to sort of bring them in. There you go. So in theory, and you saw it before, and it worked. I don't know why. Here we set to instance. The object is this one over here, that specific cloth. There we go. So it's the cloth, and everything plays fine, and everything has its material. And right click, bake as alembic, and delete. Now, let me look at the settings for a second. I think these are the default settings. So bake as alembic and delete. And now it's exporting. Before, it would just give me a null without anything underneath. I don't know. I'm getting too old for this. And now, because these objects exist, it's not that they don't exist. And you can see that if you select it and go to the coordinates, you will see that the scaling is 0. And as the effector comes in, it will grow, because that's what, when the effector field combination changes the scale, it's not modifying the geometry, it's modifying the matrix. So now you have this. Now, mind you, the objects exist, right? They are here. It's just that they're so small that you can't see them, and they will not render. Let's see now if this renders properly. Let's do this. You can see this cloth, and here we should see the flowers growing. So in a nutshell, I don't know why it didn't work. See, it's good to repeat the questions, because I would have just said it doesn't work, but it's good that I always try something. Anyhow, this would be a way to grow things, and not use the matrix. Now, there may be, so the redshift matrix would be good if you don't cache it as an alembic, because the purpose of it is to generate the objects on render time, whereas alembic, you generate them in let's say real time in your viewport. These are actual objects. Okay, let's see. Let me just lay a couple of follow-up questions. So Vaso, I hope this was useful. Let me show you. I'm undoing. The setup is and I'm going to tie it in with CG Talk. CG Talk, the actual old website, CG Society, CG Talk. Anyhow, do I need to use alembic? Well, internally, alembic is what you're doing. So let me get, I think I have the cloth object here. So this is what I used. Okay, so this is just a, and particles, of course. We can do something with particles since we're here. So here I have the original cloth. It's just a cloth. I've used a cylinder as a cloth, but I've used the mix animation with the pins just to make it appear as if it's rigid. Why am I just saying? Let me show you what I did here. So, because all this is interesting information. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this, and let's get rid of this. So there we go. There's no animation here. It's Ask the Trainer. Let me have a drink of some fizzy water here. petit land. Nice. So we have this plane, nothing's going on. And I'm going to convert this into a cloth by adding a cloth tag. There we go. And it's doing its thing. Excellent. Let's turn on the forces. I've reduced gravity. Because this is huge, this is 4 meters by 4 meters and so forth. So I'm just reducing gravity to make it look a bit more fancy. Now, this cylinder here, I am going to convert it into a cloth. And I'm going to go to my mix animation and just turn on with pins. And what this will do is just make the whole thing, all the points non-simulated. Okay, so it's going to stay here no matter what. This is the follow position, follow rotation, and it doesn't have any animation. So now I'm going to go to my plane and I'm going to use a connector tag. I'm going to create a live update, and now I'm going to drag this until I exceed the distance here. So it sees the points on the other side. There you go. And I'm going to tweak it until I'm happy with the number of connections. That's good enough. From this point onwards, those points, those connectors are going to keep this in place. And then I went to this cloth. I went to cache, and I said cache object. Now, you can do it internally. It doesn't matter. It will cache the same data in the tag. You can do it externally. And by definition, it's going to create an alembic file. That's what it does. But instead of creating an alembic object generator and bringing it in, it just reads the data through this. So it doesn't make a difference. If I go here and I load that, you just load it. I think this is it. I loaded the same alembic I've got here. I've loaded it in here. And if I turn cache mode on, it should work. There you go. It's working. So this is the old one I did. So there are many different ways you could do this. There's no one way of creating it. Yeah, you can create an internal cache if you wish. So let's do an internal cache. Good. And I'm going to cache the object. It's going to do its thing again. In theory, it's just the same point positions that I'm moving using the simulation, but stored in a different place, either inside some sort of invisible selection in this in the scene. If I save this scene, it's going to be much bigger because it contains all the cached data. There you go. So I guess this is going to be the same thing. I can take this and I can remove this. It doesn't matter. I can copy it, and I think I can put it here. Paste it, I think. Get rid of the other cloth. Let's see if this is going to work. Drag this one in, and we should have the same result. There you go. So I've just exchanged the alembic file. And yeah, so it works. This is the question for CG Talk. Oh, you're a podcast about CG. We are young. So am I. Right, I'm young too. Good. So at least one person, all right, this is where I draw part of my happiness, right? At least one person learned something, right? That's good enough for me. Now I'm going to do something for the thumbnail. I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to add what I'm going to add. I'm going to add an HDR, and let's choose something that I always choose, this one here. I'm going to drag it in. It's going to create a dome light, and I'm going to do the start IPR so we get flowers and all that nice stuff. Good. And now I'm going to pose for the thumbnail. Let me select something so we have it. It's populated. Oh, come on. Let me lock it and do this. Okay. And I'm going to look at the camera, and 3, 2, 1, cheese. Good. We have our thumbnail. Let's unlock this. Okay. Very good. That's for my very good friend, Dr. Sassy. Yeah. Let me just save this. I like to keep some of the files. Okay, let me go back to the questions. Let's maximize my screen. And let's see, what do we have here? Yeah, it's interesting how the comment section is not giving me more comments on StreamYard. So something's happened with StreamYard. So let me read over here. Okay, let's go to Jonathan. With the updated particle system in Synapse, is it comparable or better than real flow or X particles? Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Um, the the number one thing you need to remember is that our fluids are an extension to our particle system. So for this particular version, you need to think about it as the ability to add the ability to add fluid properties to particles. That's how you need to treat it. And if you do want to do liquid simulations, it's more geared currently towards high viscosity simulations, honeys and chocolates and pastes and stuff like that. That's it. Um, I will not compare it with products that have been on the market for a decade or even more. In the case of Real Flow and so forth, these products have been on the market for a very, very, very long time. What I love about our system is that it does allow for huge flexibility, and it's very tightly integrated with the rest of the simulations and so forth. So that is my reply. Let's see. Drake, how are you, my friend? Let's see what the question. And again, I can't post the questions on screen down there because something happened to StreamYard. I don't want to quit and run it again. So CU line 100 points. Where is that? CV line 100 line segment spline object menu. 1 second. Okay. Okay. So if I'm not mistaken, Drake, you want to be able to make a line and subdivide it into a certain number of subdivisions, any line. And the next post, which is part of the same question, you want to deform in 3D space, and the line to become increasingly displaced by the end of the line. Okay, let me see if I understand the question. And first of all, in terms of resampling a line, the way I like to show this is using a helix. And the reason I like to show using a helix is you can take a line, and sort of draw it from one side to the other, okay, or do this. This has a spatial. You can actually do things spatially. You can have zero deformation there, and put a sort of a linear field here, and make it deform, and it goes a bit and more and more and more. The helix is a harder situation because it wraps around itself. So we need a way to do that, not in a spatial manner, but as the spline flows. It's one of the many things. So first of all, let's assume that we don't have here the subdivision, right? And I need to go and subdivide it into a very specific number of points. So I think that if you go to nodes and get a subdivide, resample. You can resample a spline into any number of segments, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So this is one of the things you can do. You can use a resample spline to do that. So let's say we're sampling in 50 segments, right? Let's make this have 20 segments, and we're sampling it to 50 or 100 segments, all right, or 30 segments. So that's number one. Let's make it 100. The next thing is you want the spline to have more displacement, zero displacement here, and have more as it moves on. Okay, let's start this. Let me just make this higher so we can see what's going on here. And I think some user posted a similar question the other day. Okay, so let's start with what kind of movement we want, what kind of three-dimensional displacement noise. And we can do this. I'm going to go with a random effector, right? Let's get a random effector. Let's put it under the resample so it accesses all the new points. Let's set it to point, and we can change, the various noises we have here and the magnitude of in each of the direction it's going. And of course, the resample is going to, give us more and more and more and more points. Okay, that's number one way you can do this. Let me think if there's another way of doing this without a random effector. Maybe a plane effector. First of all, a displacer. Does a displacer work? I haven't tried it. I'm going to try it. I don't think, have I tried it? We'll find out soon enough. Shading, and let's go here and maybe put a noise. Yeah, we can use a noise here. So, yep. And we can tell the displacer to go in all sorts of directions. Good. And we have the various noises which we can pull from each of these. Look at that. Nice. Good. That's number one. But I want, and is it going in all directions? I do not know. That's an interesting one. Maybe, the displacer only pushes things in the direction of the, let's say, so-called normal, or maybe not the tangent, but the perpendicular to the tangent when it comes to, well, the normal, whatever the normal is for the spline. So that ain't going to work. The next one is plane effect. So the plane effector, point mode, and I'll move these in all three directions. In the fields, I'm going to add a random field. Good. And I'm going to make it bigger. Okay. Bigger. So these are moving in three directions. We know that. There's no question about that because we can change each of the directions. Good. Now let's do that gradient. So I guess the random displacer is not the best way, but random field in plane effector is more of a way to do that. Is it up and down? Yeah, looks like it. Maybe my noise is a bit too large or something like that. Okay, and now let's mask this using a step effect. So the step effector will allow us. So let's go and add a step effector. I think it's somewhere here. And max or multiply, depends what you want to do. And this is, I can remap this to control how much of the effect goes there. Let's use a curve and let's right click and reset so you can control how much of this happens as well. If this is what you mean. If this is what you mean. So in any case, something like this. Maybe go in effector space, up and down, left or right. Oh, yeah, now I know why it doesn't look good. Haha. Because now the values are between 0 and 100. I want them to be from minus 100 to 100. It only goes in positive values, of course. So I think we can remap these values over here, and we can remap them. And I think we can go and remap this. Is it remap or range map? Bam, bam, bam. Range map. Unclamp it and go from minus 100 to 100. So this should be more in line with what you're trying to do, because we're taking all the values from 0 to 1 and we're converting them to minus 1 to plus 1. There you go. So whatever that means. Okay, let me read some questions here. Bum, 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 bum. Let's see. Let's see. Where are we? We're here. Linear drift. Yo, yo. 3D space. Does this solution, does this solve your problem? Otherwise, you can always contact me behind the scenes. Okay. Linear drift. You have my number, you know that. Okay. And I'm doing mannerisms here, and I want them to. Okay, there we go. You have my number, don't you? So, both of you, I have a plane with an image on it. I want the image to be full brightness and not need light, but I still need the plane. The image is mapped to receive shadows and not emit light. Yeah. Well, a shadow. So this is a bit of a contradiction of terms, because this is something you potentially have to do in post, because a shadow is a reduced exposure to light. That's what a shadow is. And if you tell your object to not react to lights, then it won't react to shadows either, because again, the shadow is just a lack of light, which means it needs to be able to be lit by a light so that the portion of the light that's obscured by another object become the shadow. This is, I guess, something you would have to do with either a series of different passes or AOVs or something like that, where you create a shadow catcher, you create your shadows, and then you drop them over whatever you're doing in composition. Otherwise, if you can simplify a scene and send it my way so I can take a look. But the general concept is that a shadow is the obscuration of light coming from a light source. And in order for a shadow to appear, that object needs to be able to react to light in the first place. Okay, let me read the comments on the other. And Drake, just let me know if what I'm showing was an answer to your question. So let's go to the other. We have a stream on the Maxon and the Maxon Training Team channel. Okay. Not working. What's not working? We add bevels to a live bool object. You can't. You can't add bevels to a live bool object unless the geometry is optimized to do so. This is a common question. Ngalbu, and let me show everyone what we're trying to do here. I'm going to get a very simple example of a sphere and a cube, and I'm going to add a Boolean and set it to subtract. And I'm going to subtract the sphere from the cube, right? So usually the objective is to create a nice little bevel where these two objects meet. And let me show you why this is not going to work in this particular scenario. Maybe I can put some hidden lines here. I don't know what's a better view, constant light shading, quick shading. I don't know. Anyway, so here's the problem. Let's say that I expose the intersection edges, and these are the edge that goes around the sphere. So if you make this editable, this is what that is. There's the selection. Okay, so let me undo a couple of times, go back. I'm going to take this and I'm going to add a bevel, and I'm going to tell it to bevel the selection only. Okay. And you will see that while in this particular case, it kind of works. Let me go and filter out the various things I do not like, the things that are in my face. There you go. And Shift V, save frames off. Now we have the full screen. In this case, it's not that hard because it's creating these flat surfaces, because the bevel has only, it has this offset small offset and no subdivisions. Okay. Now, as long as your bevel is smaller than the distance of anything like this, because for these bigger polygons, up to this point, there's not going to be a problem. But when you start getting too close, you're going to start having various problems with this. And you can see it by extending this. Now, you can get your bevel, but it looks rather terrible. Okay. Now, how can we fix this? Well, in the particular case of a sphere and a cube, all you need to do is make sure that your sphere is placed in such a topology where it gives you a bigger leeway for this rounding. So all I did here was I made sure that I have equal sized quads around this. And for these edge cases, you won't have an issue. You can create all sorts of interesting bevels and it's going to look pretty much perfect. But for other things, so let's assume I want to take this now as the whole thing and Boolean something out from it. Let's say another sphere. I'm going to move this over here. Let's say I want to chop this little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go here and subtract this. Now, it only works on this portion. Everything else is pretty much terrible. And you can see that very specific topological reasons for that. Okay, there is no way, at least in this implementation of the bevel, to resolve these kind of things. It will work perfectly where you have those nice little quads, and then it's going to start doing all these weird things. So that's all to say that you cannot do this directly. You need to do some strategic modeling and stuff like that. And that's the answer on this side of the chat. Let's see. Let's see, what else do we have here? Thompson X, you're stuck in Unreal Engine for the last month, enjoying the show. Thank you very much. I hope you're enjoying Unreal Engine as well. Okay. Oh, the interconnect. So question from CG Talk. Interconnect the Rocket Lasso. I haven't used it, and I don't know. Let's. How much time? Let's spend the next 5 minutes. Let's see if there's any other question. Let's see. Let's see. Space object type RGB. Okay, let me go and do something with the interconnect. I mean, let's try it. Interconnect. All right, this is a generator from Rocket Lasso, and I think, and it has various modes. It can create network effects. I think the equivalent one in After Effects is Plexus. I think it's some sort of plexi effect. So let's get a sphere, and let's, with one topology, and a sphere with another topology, and it doesn't, you can do it on the same objects and stuff like that. Let's grab these two and put them under here. And the interconnect, currently it's connecting points. You can connect polygons. Let's get this down. What else can it do? Count how many I want from all those, or percentage, 100% or something like that. Yeah, a wraparound if one sphere has less than the others, so it will wrap around the indices. So all sorts of interesting little tricks. Shuffle indices for all objects and whatnot, and we can create tangents. Play around with it. Creating wires. I don't know. I haven't created any wires for this, and I'm not absolutely sure. Did Chris show anything? I'm pretty sure if you go on the Rocket Lasso channels, and check out Chris's show. He'll be very happy to show you some examples. Oh, the good question from CG Talk: is it a native Cinema 4D tool? Well, whatever comes right. Let's dispel some myths about this. Okay, go to any one of these things over here, any menu entry, or go to any of these objects here. Would you know if something is a native tool or not? Let's say, for example, so let me close these. I'm going to close a few of these. And this is going to be the topic, the last topic I'm going to talk about. So let's go and get the backdrop. It's a primitive, correct? It's in the primitives drop down. It's you can do stuff with it, just like with all the other primitives. You can change this, you can change that. Now, we don't have any control dots, right? That may be telling, but this is not your standard cube or anything like that. This particular object, if you go here, right click, I think you can convert the object, not an XREF. Where is it? Edit asset as group. This is it. So it's created using scene nodes, but it's a built-in tool. It doesn't matter how it's made. The point of this, it doesn't matter how it's made. So the interconnect is one of those great tools that is provided in Cinema 4D and is made by Rocket Lasso. And everything you see in Cinema 4D is made by someone. So the fact that it's made using the scene node system shouldn't be the reason why you treat it as anything different. As it might as well be living in the generators tab over here, or the menu. So don't worry. And yeah, anything that Maxon provides, you should treat it as a native Cinema 4D tool. If it doesn't work as expected, you have to take it up with tech support. That is the rule. Okay. I'm going to go to one more question. Ahmed Uzair, I have a question with camera movement. Let's see. If you animate the camera first on the x-axis and then on the y-axis, it takes a sudden pause. I do not know what you mean with takes a sudden pause if you animate it first. Okay, let's... is it only with cameras? Let's try with an object. Animate on the x-axis, so x-axis, and then y-axis. Let's see where the pause is. Well, it does an easy ease if that's the case. Let me see if that's just a simple solution of selecting these two and making them linear. So now it shouldn't slow down. It's going to go boom, boom, like that. So what I did, just in case this was the solution, okay, this was the solution. By default, when you create keyframes, they have their interpolation is easy E. So it accelerates slowly from 0, and then it decelerates. And because I've got these overlapped at this particular point in time here, the cube is it's not moving, right? It's the speed is 0 here. So it's going to accelerate sideways, and then it's going to accelerate upwards. Whereas if there's a constant speed, and you can make it, I can do this and do this. So now it's going to accelerate, but then it's going to keep the speed. So it's going to go boom like that and then decelerate. So it's all about playing with your tangents, and hopefully that is what that's all you need. Okay, so let's quickly go because it's 5 past noon. let me go to the housekeeping. Let me get the housekeeping here. Bump. And very quickly, let me maximize this. And again, I'm going to post it in the chat one more time. I'm pasting it. Let's see if it's going to work. It did work. Yeah, it's funny. I couldn't read any of your comments on my feedback. Anyhow, go to this link here. And after thanking you for joining the live stream, you will be able to click any of these buttons and go to the events page or go to Cineversity or even ask your question. Now, I have to say something about this Ask the Trainer. I'm working with the other eggheads at Maxon because we want to be able to make this Master Trainer series have more impact and help you more. While I enjoy hanging out here, and we will continue doing this for the foreseeable future, we do need to find a way to communicate better, to get files from you to you, and all that kind of stuff. So we're trying to find the best solution for this that has a little overhead. It's not going to require me to do all sorts of extra stuff with the very limited time I already have. So keep posting your questions here. I'm going to do the best on replying to anyone's I can. That's why it says here for technical support questions, please open a ticket at this link here at the support center. And yeah, and this should say it's for Cinema 4D. You can ask your Redshift questions. I will answer them. But ZBrush and all that, I'm not very well versed. I cannot help you there. Anyway, you can go to the Maxon events where you will see, yeah, starting next week, we're doing this retro wave graphic month of August. It's 3 weeks. And all these things you see here are just straight out of Redshift. And I didn't use a single external asset. So yeah, and I'm going to be joined by my very good friend Ellie and Chad Perkins. That's going to show us some amazing stuff in After Effects using all sorts of Maxon One plugins. Yep. What else do we have? Maxon Training Team YouTube channel. This is where all the videos are hosted after the fact. And of course, we will provide timestamps and what else? And comments by our very good friend, Dr. Sassy. Doctor, thank you so much for your efforts and your assistance. And Max on YouTube, go and watch presentations. I think SIGGRAPH starts next week or something. So make sure you follow with SIGGRAPH. Oh, look at this guy. That was winter or something. February 6th. Yeah, it must have been a cold day. I mean, it's middle of summer and I'm still cold. I'm always cold. And do yourselves a favor. Go and download the best 3D sculpting software ever made in the known universe. I think in the unknown universe as well, but I'm not absolutely certain. And now available on the iPad. Just go get it and do 3D sculpts. I have huge amounts of envy for these people that do these things, especially Ian. He's so good. He's so good. Anyhow, Cineversity, go learn Cinema 4D and all the other Maxon software. And just go here. And yeah, even our quick tips are published here. In any case, I want to thank everyone for hanging out with us once again. Please don't forget to subscribe and bells and whistles and all that, and share your love for the show on social media. Tell people to follow us. That's just for my vanity, though. It's not for anything else. Anyone that needs to ask questions knows where to find us. Okay. That's all I have to say. Now I need to find the button I need to press over here because I need to close the show with a screen. I think there's a QR code at the end screen. I think it leads to the page I was showing. I'm not sure, but anyway, take a trip down the QR code lane. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your week. See you next week, Wednesday, for the Retro Wave series on Create with Maxon. Toodaloo.